No, I have to go over.
And that's probably going to show up as a separate.
Yeah, I gotta. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you
stream.
can get the same link I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just refreshing the YouTube page for your channel here.
I put the link to the new show in the Discord.
Okay, this is the new one. All right, let me take a look.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, no, it's working. I'm listening to it on.
Yeah, I'm watching it, and it's definitely not buffering. And I can up the res a little bit on my end. So now it seems fine. Is our audio coming through? Yeah. Huh? Is that it?
Okay, yeah, no, it's working. I'm
Yeah.
listening to it on.
Sounds good over here. Yeah, I'm watching
So-
it. That was it was the bitrate problem. So there we go.
Okay, yeah, probably just bitrate. So, okay, well, and I don't hear any audio coming through from the trailer, which is probably for the best, right? Like you don't want to get like a
Yeah.
copyright
Yeah,
thing
I
or
mean,
whatever from there.
there's no need to have that up anyways. The only one thing that's annoying me is why I can't sign into my own chat.
To be honest, I've always tried and I've never gotten it to work.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Streamlabs is convenient in a lot of ways, but it's also super annoying in other ways. It's just, but I mean, again, it's like, and you and I kind of talked about it earlier. OBS, it's a similar thing. It's going to be,
only one
you know,
thing that's annoying. There you go.
there's going to be some issues there too. So
Yeah, I'll have my phone open in another screen on the off chance someone chats. But I'll turn it all the way down first. And then I think I'll just happen to log into another account for no reason at all. But I guess we're live. We're officially live, right?
yes, yeah,
Everybody
we
out
are
there
officially
who's
live.
not watching. So now I gotta resend that link to all the no people that are watching.
Yeah, let me.
It's like technical difficulties,
Right.
people.
Let me see. Okay, so yep. Okay, this is the new one. All right, copy the link.
Send that out to all your buddies.
Yep.
You have way more subbers than I do.
New
How long did it take you to get to like that many, whatever you call it, subs?
8 years.
Really?
I've been doing, yes.
Fuck, that's
And part of that is self-inflicted because I was so off and on with consistency, and I've had an issue with consistency from day one since I started the channel, and that is like every sort of YouTube guru, every big channel, they're all going to tell you the exact same thing. The biggest issue with smaller creators uploading like every week or every other week or every couple of days, so that way the algorithm is able to draw enough data from your channel to be able to sort of spread that out to other people. And so for me, it's taken me a long time just to get to this point. And but you know, for other people it could be a much shorter period of time. There's a lot of luck that goes into it too, you know, and there's a lot of stuff with, like, you know, learning how to edit, learning how to make my own thumbnails, which the editing thing was never an issue for me because
yeah, I love editing.
I kind of have like sort of a kind of sort of not really editing background from like my schooling days, and it was the thumbnails that I had to kind of, that one took a little bit more time to figure
Really?
out, but even that I'm still learning things.
Well,
and even with editing I'm still learning things.
I use Canva for my thumbnails.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
And-
was using I was using the Adobe suite for the longest time, but I just couldn't continue to justify paying a 60, 70. I mean, they just kept ratcheting up those subscription prices every month. Eventually it got close to where I was paying like close to $80 a month, and I was only using two programs. I was using Adobe Premiere and I was using Photoshop. And it's not like I'm getting like a student discount on it or anything. I was paying full price, and I'm like, I can't, it's too much for me to be paying this when I'm paying for so many other things. I can't continue to justify that cost to myself. And so I need to start looking for some alternatives. And so now, within like the past year, I switched to Resolve, which is completely free
That's what
software.
DaVinci.
And
Oh fuck.
yeah, DaVinci's really good, and it's like it's similarly laid out enough to Premiere that I was able to sort of get my bearings fairly quickly, but there are some like intricacies to it that you sort of have to. I had to relearn certain things with it, which was kind of annoying. And then for thumbnails, I had been using Photoshop, but then I switched over to this program called Affinity Photo 2, which is also, it's not free, but you pay a one-time license fee for it, and then you own the software. So you don't have to continue to pay subscription fees every month. So now I just own it after I paid like, I got it on like a Black Friday discount. So I think it was like $40 that I paid for it. And that one is similar enough to Photoshop also that I was able to just kind of jump into it and very sort of quickly incorporate my existing workflow into that. But I think we are live because I'm not seeing
it's live, and Chio
buffering issues here. Yeah, Chio Walker, thank you so much for being here, bud. Appreciate you.
You say DaVinci Resolve for you is free? Because like it's a paid program.
Yeah. Well, there's a paid studio version with like extra bells and whistles, but you don't need to use that. You can just get the basic free version.
Or
so there's multiple versions.
A little birdie told me that you could download these programs for free, like totally free, with this thing called Torrent, I think it's called. Yeah. You heard of that?
Right.
It's a cool idea. I think I should try that out.
Yeah.
Ooh, you got the follow.
Walk.
You got the follow shirt on. I didn't notice that. Good.
Affinity has released a free app now too. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I wasn't aware that because the Affinity that I got I had to pay for,
Affinity,
so I wasn't aware that Affinity also has a free thing.
Oh no, I'm used to DaVinci and like I love it now. So
it's pretty good.
It's like
it's the effects part of it that
a lot of people use it. Yeah,
that one I'm still trying to figure out.
I use it very basically. I don't go crazy with it, but I really love editing though. Like it just takes so stinking long sometimes. Like
right.
My episodes, like I reviewed every single episode of the season, which eventually we're going to talk about. But there were some days where I literally took me 12 hours to edit the entire video from start to finish.
Oh wow.
But I was just also like, I keep screwing up something. Like every time I make a video, I'll like immediately watch it just to see what I screwed up, and I'll be like, oh fuck, I forgot to edit that line out. No matter how long I take on editing, I miss something, and that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist with stuff like that, and so yeah, sometimes it can be a little tricky to get everything right, but eventually it comes to a point where it's like you can only put so much polish on it before you eventually just kind of have to just put it out there in the wild. But yeah, I think we are good now. Yeah. So let me pull up my thing here, and we can just kind of jump into if you have any sort of intro you want to do, or if you want to
eventually
introduce myself.
Yeah. All right. So thanks to everyone who's here right now, which is probably just Chio, but thank you so much for being here. And TheArkaneRhealm, thank you so much for being here. And welcome to the Game Adaptation Newcast. And today is the special all Fallout, all day episode. Season 2 just ended a couple days ago, and Season 2 was incredible. I just put up my review for the last episode. So now I got to do a review for the entire season, and that's probably going to take me a week. I don't even know how to handle reviewing an entire season yet. Like
It's a lot to unpack.
each episode, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, do I want to break down every single episode like a minute or two each, and just the entire season? So yeah, and I don't rate any of the episodes yet, but I want to rate the entire season on the end. But yes, to anyone watching, some buffering is happening. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I'm still new. I put the whatever down to like bitrate to 4,000. So I don't know. If you put the bitrate down to 1, what is that like?
Really bad.
Yeah, we're still learning, but I'm excited to be here and excited to have a guest. This is like the coolest thing ever to have a guest. And I saw you on Red's show, and I was like, that's a cool guy. I like him. Red is awesome. I love Red. And Colt,
Yeah, Red's awesome.
I guess you know Colt too, right? Colt Eastwood.
Yeah, I've spoken to him like on very rare occasions. I wouldn't say that I'm quite like buddy with him.
Oh
Like
yeah, like I'm
him
not either.
and Red Wolf Renegade are, but I've spoken to Colt like briefly on a couple of occasions, and I'd like to be able to speak with him at length at other points potentially in the future, but yeah, no, it's awesome for me to be here and talk about Fallout Season 2. Obviously, that's a huge topic right now, and those of you who are watching who aren't familiar, that focuses pretty exclusively on Arcane Studios and Bethesda content. So games like Dishonored, Deathloop, Prey, Redfall, the upcoming Blade game, which hopefully will be coming out within the next year or so.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, but then also other Bethesda content. Like I want to start talking more about Doom, Wolfenstein, Indiana Jones, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Starfield, all of that stuff. I'm gonna kind of start branching more into that direction, but yeah, happy to be here and talk about Season 2 of Fallout, because there was a lot to unpack in this season comparatively to Season 1, that's for sure.
All right, one last question before I get into this. The obvious question I'd ask any guest how to have on here, but what is your favorite game of all time?
My favorite game of all time. It changes depending on the day, to be perfectly honest. But I think
absolutely,
if I had to give the easy answer here, I would say probably that original Dishonored game from 2012.
Yeah, that was a really good game.
And that's difficult for me because I personally think that the sequel is actually way better. I really like Dishonored 2, but if gun to my head I could only pick one, I'd have to go with the original game. The original game is easily my favorite. It just has a level of it has a level of player agency and freedom that you don't really see in a lot of games, even nowadays. You know, it's like, hey, we have this wide open level, and you have literally almost an infinite number of different routes you can take to your objective, different ways to accomplish your objectives. You have a bunch of powers and gadgets to use, and I'm a real big fan of that particular sort of design philosophy that game introduced me to, which is like the chief inspiration for why my channel even exists in the first place.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the RadAway. So I figured I didn't make the connection at first. I was like, oh yeah, he likes Arcane. That makes sense. Arcane are a really good studio though. I liked what was that, Deathloop? That was pretty good. Deathloop was cool.
Yeah. And Deathloop was really the game that when I was covering it leading up to the release and after the release, basically the most popular videos on my channel are all of my Deathloop videos. Basically, that was the game that really,
it's more current.
Yeah, that was the game that really sort of made my channel explode in terms of viewership.
Yeah, I don't. Have they announced a Dishonored 3 yet or anything?
No, they've they've said like on occasion certain things about Dishonored 3, and I have my own sort of conspiracy theories about, like, are we or are we not going to get a proper, because a lot of people make the argument that uh Deathloop is Dishonored 3, or that
No, not at all. It's not even close.
because Deathloop takes place in the Dishonored universe. That
Oh,
was confirmed
I actually didn't know
after the
that.
fact.
Huh.
Yeah, that was confirmed
Sounds like they just
by
made that up.
Bethesda and Arcane after the fact. No, no, that's
Sounds like they just
there's like
decided. You know what? It is.
no there. If you looked hard enough, like I did, you would find certain things that sort of
Yeah.
hint at the fact that it takes place in a larger universe, um, and then a lot of other people have made the argument that that concludes the original storyline, that is Dishonored 3, but I disagree with all of those takes. I feel like
That doesn't make sense at all.
there's still a scenario where they can have like a proper third game. But anyway, I don't want to go too far into that because I know we want to talk about Fallout Season 2. So
Okay. Well, in case you were wondering, my favorite game of all time would be Mass Effect, the first one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great one.
Which, again, kind of like you, depending on the day, because even though I don't fuck with Nintendo at all anymore because they're so greedy, I really do love Super Mario 64. Like, that game was
Yeah, it's a
pretty
classic.
amazing, and one of the few games I've ever finished multiple times. But Mass Effect was like an experience playing that the first
Yeah.
time.
That first Mass Effect, I think, is still my favorite game in the trilogy to this day. For as amazing as 2 and 3 are,
Yeah.
the original game is probably still my favorite.
Yeah, it's just like what you said with Dishonored. Like, 2 is a better game, but Mass Effect 1 is just like amazing. Like, it blew my
Yeah,
mind.
if somebody
So,
had to put a gun to your head and force you to choose, it's like that choice is, for me, it would be easy. I'd have to pick that first game. So
all right, let's get to the main topic, which is, yes, just season 2. Season 2, overall tone of season 2, how it differs from season 1. I'm just like reading off my like structure idea, but because I don't really know where to start, honestly.
I I guess we can kind of start with just like the just the big picture of it. So probably the easiest place to start, right, is the fact that, at the end of season 1 they teased the next location for season 2, and it was New Vegas, and everybody went crazy for that. It's like, oh shit, they're going back to New Vegas for season 2, and we haven't seen it since the game came out, so how are they going to change the setting, the factions, the storylines? Are they going to pick a canon ending, stuff like that? And then so the setting was like the big change, the big takeaway for season 2. And I think they did some, we'll get into sort of some of the nitty-gritty stuff, but I felt just at a sort of top level that the Vegas setting was interesting, but I also feel like they didn't quite do as much with it as I feel like they could have.
Absolutely.
It really did feel sort of like, and I don't know if this is the right way for me to say it, but it really did feel like set dressing, kind of. It like it was another really good season that just sort of happened coincidentally to take place in New Vegas and sort of coincidentally involve some of the factions and some of the characters that we were familiar with from the game. But I don't know. That could have also had to do with the fact that, and this is another top level thing, is that Amazon and Bethesda did not drop the entire season in one go, right? They changed the release cadence for season 2, where season 1 they dropped all 8 episodes. You can binge all of them however you want. Season 2 is where they changed it to where they're dropping new episodes every week. So you have 1 episode per week.
What did you think of that?
And I
like of that change, because I was like, I would have rather
two minds on it. I think that it's I think that it's good in a sense because you're sort of building anticipation for the next episode, especially with how some of the episodes of season 2 ended. You're building that anticipation there, and the way I look at it as bad is like, selfishly, I just kind of prefer the binge model personally for myself,
Yeah, of
because
course.
for me it's, I have a wife, I have 2 young kids. It's
Mm.
hard for me to kind of like keep up with what's going on in the storyline when I have so much shit externally going on in real life that I have to deal with. So it's easier for me if I sort of like binge each episode one after the other, and that way I get sort of a quick burst of the story all at once. And I feel like I'll probably end up going back and just binging season 2, and maybe
Yeah,
then I
I will
might
too.
feel a little bit differently about it than how I feel about it now. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna do
yeah,
that.
and then whether season 2 sort of felt more like Fallout, I I think the first season was like a really good introduction to this sort of new corner of the Fallout universe. It still sort of had the spirit of it. Season 2, I think, definitely felt more. It felt more Fallout-y than season 1 did. That's for sure. And that probably has a lot to do with the fact that it takes place in New Vegas, right? Like, it's a familiar setting. We know all the major players. We know Robert House, Caesar's Legion, the NCR. We know about Death Claws. It was like it felt more. It felt a little bit more like fan service,
Fan service. Yeah.
which again makes sense because it's like in the first season, we didn't have Death Claws, we didn't have, we didn't have super mutants, we didn't have a lot of the sort of traditional stuff that you would expect to see from Fallout. They sort of slowly doled that out over time, and but it was the introduction. It was the introductory season, right? Like they had to go through a lot of stuff. They sort of teased the NCR, and in this one, they went full on into like, here's Death Claws, here's the NCR with the Ranger armor, which was badass, and here's here's teases about Robert House and the Enclave and super mutants, which was really cool. Here's what's going on with the Brotherhood of Steel
Yeah,
and
I definitely have
and
something to say about that later. The mutants,
yeah,
I mean.
yeah, that was certainly an aspect of the show that I, along with yourself, and I'm sure many others, definitely sort of took issue with. But
Wait,
yeah,
I'm not sure what you're talking about. According to what I think, you
oh
shouldn't.
really?
You
Oh,
shouldn't
okay. Maybe
assume.
you do feel
You shouldn't
differently. Right.
assume what I don't know. I'm trying not to get the things that happened in order. Like the thing I'm talking about happens in like almost episode 7, I think.
Oh, okay. A
So
little. Okay, so
I'm
maybe we're
trying to
thinking about
avoid
something
getting to
different then.
things that
Okay,
happen later.
I gotcha. I
But
gotcha.
to be honest, now that it's in my brain, uh, the fact that they had a super mutant in it for like 2 seconds and that was it, I was like, why would you set up something so cool and then have nothing?
That's yeah. That and what I will say, because and this is, it's probably a little late for this by now, but full spoiler warning for those of you
Oh yeah,
watching. We are
definitely
gonna go
spoilers.
like dive deep into the spoiler
I'll
stuff.
set
But
it. I said it
yes,
in
yeah,
my title, so people,
yeah.
anyone
But
watching,
there's always kind of have to like reiterate it for them though. So I guess this is just me reiterating that this is
yeah.
going to be full blown spoiler discussion.
But
But
you're the
yes, they do.
professional, so
Yeah, they do have a super mutant that shows up towards the end,
yeah.
played by the
Ron Perlman.
legendary Ron Perlman,
Yeah,
which was like, that was such an awesome way to include him
I
cameo
like.
wise in the show.
I actually knew.
Um,
Like I'm not even lying. I knew that was Perlman the second I saw the trailer and I heard the voice. I was like, "That's absolutely Perlman." I knew right
oh
away.
really?
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
was
remember if he was actually in the trailer or
in the
not. So
trailer.
that's
No, they said like there's a war coming, and I'm like, "That's definitely Ron Perlman." I can actually kind of hear his voice because he has a deep voice. He has a pretty deep voice, anyways. But like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just his voice deepened. But then when you saw the super mutant's face, it's like that's obviously Ron Perlman. Like that's
Yeah,
basically
no,
what he
they
looks
they
like,
made it
anyways.
look like him. Yeah, but that was such a great cameo. But to your
Yeah,
point,
I knew he was gonna
yeah,
be in it.
it felt like, okay, here's a super mutant, here's a brief tease of what's going on. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next thing. And
Yeah, that was like why.
that's that is one of my sort of larger issues with the season, which I say that really it's kind of a personal nitpick in the grand scheme of things because the season overall is so good,
Yeah,
but there was a lot of setup in this season
big time.
so that by the time you get to the end of the finale, it felt more like a mid-season break because okay, we're setting up, and I think if you're as much of a lore junkie for Fallout as I am, because I've watched hours upon hours worth of lore videos, I've educated myself on like
Do
all
you
the
watch?
factions, the characters, the major
Do you
players.
watch Oxhorn? You probably know that guy.
I've seen him periodically. The one that I watched was and I think he passed away a couple of years ago, was a Shoddy Cast. He did like the
Shoddy.
storyteller.
Hmm. I wonder if I
But
remember who
so
that is.
anybody who's familiar with the lore would know like okay, they're obviously setting up the Enclave to be the big villains of the show here. You know, they're teasing that they're the ones who dropped the bombs ultimately, who started the war, and we know that the Death Claws were actually created pre-war. They're genetically modified. They weren't born out of the post-nuclear fallout from the bombs dropping, which is why that scene with Cooper Howard, Walton Goggins' character in Anchorage, Alaska during the war, like before the bombs, and seeing the Death Claw there was really cool because it's like okay, this is cool because it confirms, you know, something that a lot of lore junkies have known for a while, which is that they were used as tools of war against communist China. But
Okay, I didn't know any of that. Where'd you get that from? Is that part of the show lore or the game lore? Like lore
That's
lore?
part of the game lore. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been known for a while that the Death Claws were created by someone,
I didn't know that.
which it's not hard to sort of jump to the conclusion that the Enclave are probably the ones
Well,
who
yeah,
created them, and this show basically
that's
confirms
what
that.
House said, and that came out of nowhere. I thought I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
He just
no,
kind of
there,
said it, and I was like, what? You just
yeah,
dropped a
no,
big one.
there was grounds for them to build off of that from the game because they sort of elaborate on that in the games and whatnot, but here they're really leaning into that. But it was really cool to finally see the Death Claws in live action,
God,
you
they looked
know, and
amazing.
oh yeah,
The
they were
the
awesome. They
digital
were super
effects,
cool.
the digital effects. Yeah, like I gotta take a moment to talk about how freaking good they were in this show.
Yeah.
Because like digital effects these days can look like shit.
Yeah,
It depends on the quality, but the quality of
they had actual
the compositing of like Into the World, it looked real. It didn't look out of place.
yeah. They had actual people puppeteering like a physical prop,
Almost no
and
one does that anymore, and I'm like,
yeah, which is what I
practical.
appreciate about like what Jonathan Nolan and his team have done with the show is like
Practical is
they
always
have this
better.
big thing of like if we can do it practically, we should do it practically
Just like his
because
brother.
it's just going to feel more real.
Yeah,
But
just like his brother Chris. So they do the same thing.
yeah, and Chris Nolan's like he's my favorite filmmaker of all time.
Well, yeah, I mean
He's
that,
awesome.
that
So
makes sense. He's not mine, but I can see that he's up
yeah.
there.
But yeah, as far as some of the lore stuff that they did with season 2 was really interesting. You know, they're teasing, and I have theories ultimately about like where they're trying to go. Like, you know, they're teasing, oh, you know, we're initiating phase 2 of this vault experiment. The entire surface is an experiment. The stuff that they're teasing with the little mind control devices, with Lucy's brother Norm, we learn about Vault-Tec and the Enclave using the forced evolutionary virus, which the FEV, which is what created the super mutants. So I have some theories about where they're potentially taking this that might connect all the way back to the original Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, but I don't
Yeah,
want to jump
I
too
have
far
heard
ahead of
those.
myself with that.
I don't know. It's like
Um,
I keep thinking of things I want to bring up later, but then I'll forget. And it's like 'cause I'm trying to like do this in order of the season, though I don't know if that
yeah,
really matters or not. Because like it's not like we're gonna
right.
go episode by episode.
Yeah, we're just gonna kind of do sort of like a brief overview, I think. And I'm looking at the same sort of flow chart you're looking at. So I think if I'm gonna compare, like, if somebody's gonna ask me, okay, which season's better? Did you like season two better than season one? Or and I would say I would take the coward's way out, even though I wouldn't quite call it that. I do feel that season two was as good as season one. Just for me personally, I didn't feel that it was any better or any worse than season one. I think there were certain things that kind of, like I mentioned, the fact that there's so much setup for the future that sort of held me back from loving it more than the first season, because the first season also had setup too, but the first season also felt like a complete storyline a little bit more than season two. I don't know if that makes sense, but um
I think
both
I'm gonna go
equally,
with.
and I'm
Sorry, what?
oh no, yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna say one just because I actually do think it's better than two, but I mean it's super close, obviously, because like
Hmm.
as far as I'm concerned, this is the new standard for TV game adaptations. Like
Oh,
full
100%.
stop.
Yeah.
It was Last of Us obviously at one point, because as far as I'm concerned, again, the first season of that show was pretty much perfect. But the season two was like I don't know how they fucked that up, but that's a whole other ball of wax. So like, but yeah, this is the new standard. They knocked it out of the park the first season, and I was pretty confident it was going to be good anyways, because like Jonathan Nolan has a good track record. So
Yeah.
and he's already done sci-fi. He's been doing it for years. So I knew it was gonna be good, but like I loved it the first season just because of like it met and exceeded my expectations, and like I even bought the first season on Steelbook just because I watched the first season multiple times, and I don't rewatch entire seasons, but I've rewatched the entire season at least 4 or 5 times, and I'm gonna buy
Yeah,
it again
it's
when it
really
comes out. When season two comes out, I'm gonna buy the set for that as well.
definitely.
I
I need to do that too.
I'm
I
trying to
need to
grab
find
it
the
just to show
like
off.
the 4K steelbooks for those. Um,
Yeah, 4K steel, bro. I know, I always just have to show off. If we're talking about something that I own, I'm like, yeah, I own it. But this is like
yeah, there you go.
this was like a little disappointing, honestly. Like it didn't have enough
Oh, and not enough
features.
bonuses in there.
Like
Yeah.
I love features, and then commentaries are my absolute favorite. And like they had kind of one on one episode, but I was like, I want a commentary for every single episode. But that's whatever.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, season one's better, but mainly because of how much it blew me away, and I knew two was going to be the same. So
yeah,
it's almost the same. Like it really is almost a balance of exactly both, but
for sure. And to your point,
one's
I
a bit better.
100% agree. This is like the gold standard for video game adaptations, whether it's TV shows, movies, whatever. This is how you pay respect and proper homage to the source material, and you have showrunners who actually understand the source material and they don't deliberately ignore it, while also telling a original story in that existing universe with characters that you actually are invested in and care about. Like, man, I just have to continue to gush about Walton Goggins.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was my favorite character in the first season. It continues to be so
Of
in
course,
season two.
not
He
even
is
close.
just absolutely incredible.
It's not even close.
Him as Cooper Howard and then as the Ghoul, even though you know they're the same person, he plays them so differently because you know that the Ghoul after 200 years has just gone through so much shit. And
Yeah, they could do a whole show just about that, probably.
yeah, 100%.
Maybe they will.
And that's why I thought it was interesting, and why it made sense when I don't play the game, but I know they brought him in as a cameo character in Fallout 76 and the
Yeah.
recent expansion they did for
I
that.
play
And
76. I love it.
yeah, and that made perfect sense, right? Because it's like he's been around for 200 years. Like he's the perfect guy to have crossover between the game and the TV series. But I suppose more major critiques that I have with season two. Um, I think the biggest one that I want to start with is there's a lot of like completely pointless plot lines
Yeah,
here, or
definitely.
plot lines that felt like they never really went anywhere. And the biggest offender with that is like this stupid, like this inbreeding support group shit
Yeah,
in the vault.
absolutely. I was
It's so dumb.
exact same
And I
thing.
saw and I
Completely
saw
pointless.
people, saying like, "Oh, Stephanie Harper, I hate that character. I don't like her." And it's like, you don't like that, but you're okay with this inbreeding support group like filler subplot here. Like, this is dumb. Like, yeah, that part where they're singing Uranium Fever was kind of funny and kind of
It
cool,
was
but it's
weird.
like
It was like,
it was
where
weird,
did
but
it come
it
from?
also kind of fit the vibe of the sort of, show. But it also was like, if you had removed it, it still would have been exactly the same. So I can't sit here and say that having that plot line, that subplot in season two made it any better,
It was a
because it really
waste.
didn't. You could have, yeah, it was a
It
waste,
was a
And
filler, pure filler.
now the plot line with Stephanie Harper and the chick with the eye patch, and finding out
She's
that
hot.
she's actually a Canadian who
Like
was,
me. So and
yeah, she
everyone's all
and
like, I'm not
and
gonna lie, I did not like people being like, "Oh, he's Canadian." Like I take offense
Yeah,
to that big time.
well, it's funny because Canada is something that Fallout just sort of tends to sort of gloss over in the lore, but and so that's why her storyline was so interesting to me, is because I forget that, because we're in this alternate timeline where the United States did annex Canada. They
Which I
took it over and it
also
became a United States
really don't
territory.
like. That's not funny at all. And anyways, that's a
Yeah,
whole other
it's
thing.
Yeah, but in this timeline, that's what happened, and so you know, they do some interesting stuff with that there, and so her storyline started to make a lot more sense towards the end of the series. It's like, okay, she's out for revenge. She hates the Americans. She hates Vault-Tec. She hates the government. you know. And little does she know, by the end, she pulls out Hank's Pip-Boy with the Enclave logo on it, which was totally awesome, by the way. But
I feel kind
um,
of out of nowhere though.
she's like, initiate phase two. She has no idea that she's actually like playing into like the people who basically sort of put her down her entire life. I'm trying to. There's probably a better way for me to articulate that, but yeah, the whole Vault-Tec, the whole Vault subplot felt completely pointless, and a lot of those characters just felt very wasted in this season of the show. Um, Another thing here was the stuff that they did with some of the factions from New Vegas, and some of the non-answers that we got about, which, again, I get it, right? They were very deliberate about avoiding some of the questions about what's the canon ending for New Vegas, or what happened to these factions, and they sort of gave us like these non-answers to it. They're like, yeah, the NCR were cut off from reinforcements, and then they sort of very conveniently show up at the end. And then Caesar's Legion has splintered into several subgroups that are all fighting over, because
A dead
Caesar,
body.
the actual Caesar from New Vegas, is dead, and so they're fighting over who's going to take over as the new Caesar,
That's one thing I didn't get was like,
and there was
the,
no sort of answers about Yes Man or anything like that,
yeah,
and it was, I think they did the best they could to kind of respect the player choice, whatever sort of choices the players made with the ending of New Vegas. But I also think that I personally would have liked to have seen them take a more definitive approach to it. Like, yeah, this is what happened. These are the people that survived, so and so, and but I appreciated the fact that they left a lot of ambiguity with it. Robert House has a line where he's when the ghoul gets into the Lucky 38 casino up to the very top, and he interacts with Robert House in the computer, the AI version of him. And Robert House mentions, he mentions like, I've been poisoned, I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been bludgeoned with like a crowbar or a golf club or something. I thought that was really clever because it's like, okay, they're clearly sort of referencing stuff that the players did in the game, but he's saying it in a way that is like, this never actually happened. These are things that I foresaw happening. So he saw like probabilities which sort of equate to whatever sort of endings the players chose for House in New Vegas.
I don't remember
And
him
House
saying that.
also was handled kind of interestingly in this show because I ultimately didn't really understand, like, okay, what's the point with his little mind control devices? Like, was that actually what he wanted to do, or did he want to, which ultimately is what we know ends up happening, is like he builds a missile defense system to shoot down the nukes before they touch Vegas. Um, but I still didn't fully, by the end of the show, kind of understand what was going on with the mind control devices, although I have some theories about where they might be going with that. So anyway, I want to let you get your lick in. I don't want to ramble too much.
I thought the mind control was to create an army. Like when the Hank said there were something about an order that was hundreds of years old or something.
Hmm.
He said that in the
Yeah.
last episode. Like I thought
It
they wanted to make an army to essentially, like, I don't know, make the rest of the surface just stop being violent.
it's definitely it's definitely something to do with the Enclave.
Yeah,
So I guess I should just jump into
the
my.
other player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the real House that always wins. Um, but my theory, I should probably just jump into that. My theory about where they're going with it is, we know that there's some sort of plan to experiment on the Vault dwellers at Vault 32 and 33 with FEV. So clearly there's some sort of plan to turn them into like super mutants, right? Um,
Yeah,
where I think it's going to connect back to Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 specifically is, in Fallout 2, the Enclave has one character in particular named Frank Horrigan, who was a Enclave soldier who was subjected to the FEV and turned into this massive super mutant, but he was able to maintain his intelligence without becoming kind of dumb like the rest of the super mutants and mindless.
yeah, like in
And so
four.
they retrofitted him with this Enclave power armor, and he's like huge, the Hulk inside the Hulkbuster armor, from like the Marvel universe or whatever. You kind of have an idea of what that is. And so my theory is that they're going to turn everybody in the vault into super mutants, and then they're going to have them implanted with the mind control chips. Yeah, there you go.
Boink.
Age of Ultron. And they're going to turn them into super mutants, implant them with the chips, and the chips are going to keep them from going
Crazy.
mindless. They're going to
Yeah,
help them maintain their intelligence, and they're basically going to create an army of super mutant soldiers, and they're going to retrofit them with Enclave power armor, and they're going to use them to sort of take over the wasteland and basically create like an army of
yeah,
Frank Horrigans from Fallout 2, which is is interesting. And it plays into kind of what the super mutant character that Ron Perlman said, right? He's like, we have our own army, like we want to fight the humans. And that opens up a bunch of questions about him too, because okay, he's clearly not a dumb super mutant. He's maintained his intelligence because he's speaking clearly and eloquently. So there's some questions about his character that I have, like what's going on with him, and that's probably going to get answered in season 3 or even beyond that. But that's kind of like my overarching theory there. And then I would say my final major critique for the show is some of the stuff did with the Brotherhood of Steel this season. Man, I'm like, what are you guys doing? What is this thing about, like, you have these leaders of these different factions that are kind of moronic,
yeah.
and
They
they're
don't get
all
along at
fighting
all.
over stuff, and they don't get along, and there's like bickering and infighting in the Brotherhood of Steel, and
Yeah, I didn't really get
and
that. And like
yeah,
they were being like really mean to each other too, like really
they're just
mean.
being
I was
dumb.
like,
They're
why?
making these dumb decisions, and it's like we've seen that the Brotherhood of Steel are smarter than that, right? Like they are one of the most powerful factions in the entire wasteland. You know, they're all about isolationist policy of like we're going to hoard all of this technology and be real zealot like with it, and only we can control it, and they're formed out of the remnants of the United States military. But yeah, some of the decisions they made with their characters in the show were very odd. And also um the actor that they brought in, Kumail Nanjiani,
Yeah.
he played the envoy from the Commonwealth. I forget, Harkness, I think was his character's name. I don't like that actor at all.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not a fan of him. I don't like him at all. He is like, I don't think he's funny.
Interesting.
Um, but
He's okay.
so some of
Like,
the stuff they were doing with him in the show, I thought was I didn't. I just, yeah, I don't know. The Brotherhood of Steel stuff in this show was kind of. I just didn't really necessarily agree with some of it.
yeah,
But those
I
would
don't
be
know
my
if
my major critiques with the season 2
I kind of
overall, which I know is kind of a lot.
I kind of feel like Kumar probably called in, was like, "Man, I love the first season. Can I be in the second somehow?" And then,
For
but he
real,
was only
honestly,
in
it kind
it
of
for
felt
like
that way.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
surprised at like his short screen time because they made it seem like, oh yeah, but he was only in it for like
Exactly.
half an episode.
Right.
But he was annoying in that episode. Like he's okay. Hey, Noble Bull, what's up? Thanks for being here. He's funnier back in his pre getting to good shape days. Like, have you ever seen Silicon Valley? He's really good on that.
Yeah, I've seen like little bits, and
That's a awesome show if you haven't seen it.
he's gotten a lot more like muscular and whatnot. But
Yeah, he turned
um,
like less funnier the bigger he gets.
yeah, right. Yeah, there's a direct correlation between how much less comedic you get to
Yeah,
how much more muscle you put on.
just like just like Jonah
Right.
Hill. Fat Jonah Hill is way funnier.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill now sucks balls. So actually, I wanted to hear your theory on Thaddeus and if you think he's turning into a
Mm.
centaur or a super mutant, and if that
I
actually
think
was FEV that he had earlier.
I I don't know for sure if it's. I want to lean more towards yes. It probably is some sort of like strain of it, because we can tell that it was like a similar thing to what Moldaver gave Cooper in the flashback. She gave him that vial of liquid. Is like, I want you to poison Robert House and give him this, and it's like it's the same stuff that he has vials of it, and so there's something going on there with FEV that we still kind of need answers for. I definitely don't think he's turning into a ghoul. I also don't know if it's a centaur, but I think it definitely has something to do with some sort of like strain, modified strain of FEV. I think it'd be really cool if he turns into a centaur. I think it'd be
But it'd
messed
be
up,
gross. It'd be like
but
disturbing.
super gross. But like, just another way for them to sort of pay
Centaurs
homage
are
to the
gross.
games
Like
is
in
like,
the
ooh, whoa, like
but like
that's crazy. But
but the like whatever on his neck, the mouth on his neck makes me think it could be a centaur
yeah,
because as far as I know, super mutants don't. I still think it's super mutant. I don't know why. That's just what I think.
yeah,
But super mutants, as far as I know, don't have a second mouth on their neck, so
no,
it's
no,
hard to
definitely.
say.
And ghouls don't have that either.
Yeah,
So
he's
he's
not. It's not.
definitely
It's definitely
he's
not a ghoul. It's definitely not a ghoul. I know that for sure. I think didn't
it's
somebody already
such
say
like a
that?
slow gradual. It's such a slow gradual transformation that he's going through.
Not
So
really.
it was interesting
His arm
that
fell
they.
off.
Well, yeah, but
That was
it's
pretty
like
funny.
I was expecting him to like make a change in the finale, and so clearly they're saving that for season 3, where he's going to make like his full transformation. But um, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with him, because he was a character that I thought was just super annoying in season 1. I didn't like him at all. He was just a real dickhead to
Yeah.
Maximus. But in
Now
this
they're
show,
like
I'm like,
friends
in
and
this
stuff.
season, I'm like, okay, he's I'm a little more interested to see what happens to him, but it's really more so out of like, not because I like his character, but just morbid curiosity, because I want to see him go through like that disgusting body horror transformation there. Um, all of the character stuff they did with like the main three characters in the season was really interesting. Like Cooper goes through a change by the end of it. He becomes a little more human as the ghoul, because it's like 200 years wandering the wasteland looking for his family. He did so many inhumane things, and so by the end of it, it's like, you know, when he shoots Hank in the ass with the bullet, it's like, oh, you're taking a page out of Lucy's book. See, you're not so terrible, you know. It's like because at the beginning of the season he would have killed him straight up, but by the end of it, he's like,
I had an issue with that
some
part,
more
though.
Humanity back. Oh yeah.
One issue is the ghoul was using the same gun that he was using to blow holes in people. So how did he not blow a hole in Hank's ass?
Yeah, for real.
I don't know if there's some way to adjust it, but
I don't.
As far as I know, it's a 2-barrel that basically shoots off mini grenades. So how did he not blow Hank's ass off?
Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like suspension of disbelief kind of thing there, but
I don't know. That one is actually like, nah, it doesn't make sense to me.
The humanity that he sort of regains by the end, because he knows that his family is alive, and now we know he's going to go to Colorado, which is like, they've sort of barely explored Colorado in the games. I think Fallout Tactics was the one that is sort of it's sort of canon, but also not really canon to the Fallout timeline, because that was kind of a spin-off game back in the day.
Yeah.
But that one took place in Colorado, and I think it's pretty obvious that they're teasing that he's going to go to the Rocky Mountains, and probably that's where the Enclave base is going to be that we saw.
I'm pretty sure.
Mountains there.
I'm pretty sure that we know that that's where it is. Maybe it's still not clear, but it's definitely where 100%. They are. So
for sure. So, but yeah, so the ghoul went through some interesting stuff here, and it's going to be his flashbacks in season 3 are going to be interesting, because clearly he's going to be serving some jail time, and because he gets arrested by, you know, people that they're not claiming they're the Enclave, but we know they're with the Enclave.
They're actually like, I don't know if you looked this up, but they're part of the Un-American Communist group or something.
Yeah, kind of like McCarthyism, Red Scare era stuff.
Actually, based on a real thing.
I think it's just in the show, it's going to be a front. Like it's the Enclave that got a hold of him. That's what I think is going on ultimately. But
probably.
But so his flashbacks are going to be interesting in season 3, and then Lucy, definitely became much more independent and more of sort of like a free thinker, and less concerned with like, oh, I'm going to bring my dad to justice. You know, the wasteland does change people the more time you spend out there, and that whole scene with her in the vault with the congresswoman's disembodied head, and that was really sad, because it's like she doesn't want to kill her, but she knows that she has to put her out of her misery, and it's like, so she's gotten to be much more less like okie dokie sort of attitude, and more kind of beat up and downtrodden, because the wasteland has really showed her the true colors of the world. And then Maximus goes through this really awesome character arc, this hero arc,
the best
this
arc,
thing.
I think.
Because I thought that flashback of him and his parents in Shady Sands was really, really good and really interesting setup for him, because it's like, you know, you're going to grow up to be a good man one day. And that whole sequence with him killing Harkness because he was going to kill the kids, because even though they're ghoulified, and this is another thing that I forgot about the Brotherhood of Steel, but they are like 100% xenophobic.
Yeah.
They don't like ghouls. They don't like super mutants. They don't care if a ghoul is feral or if they're intelligent. They don't want anything to do with you. So that was interesting, and it was cool to see him like splinter off from the Brotherhood of Steel because of that. And
he got really disillusioned.
Disillusioned. Yeah, and he gets in the NCR power armor. He takes on like a half dozen Deathclaws by himself. That shit was so like, badass, man.
I was like, damn, man, cool. like Maximus is ridiculously brave.
He can kick ass,
and he can handle it too. And I'm like, he's really good in the armor. And I was almost wondering, like, is the NCR armor easier to move around in Brotherhood of Steel? Like, is there a difference at all?
It must be, yeah. But
he was handling
he
himself
has
that
awesome action sequence against the Deathclaws at the end, and but then it's like, even outside of the power armor, it's like bro, what are you gonna do with a roulette wheel and a pool cue?
That's
Like,
just like
you're not
how.
gonna do anything with that. But it was the
Yeah, I don't know what
idea
that was
of it. It's
about.
like, wow, you really are willing
Die.
to like sacrifice it all for people who are betting by store. And then the NCR obviously shows up, and they that moment where they do the sort of homage to
Yeah,
the opening of New
like
Vegas,
the
the
exact
slow mo
shot.
sniper rifle shot with the NCR Ranger. Oh man,
It
just
was mirrored though. It was from a different
perfect.
side. It was from a
Yeah, it
different
was from a
side,
different side,
but it was
but
like almost
it was
shot
the
for shot.
idea that they paid homage to that moment. It was like, oh yes, that was awesome. But ultimately, I think Maximus is going to join the NCR
Yeah,
100%. He's going to
definitely.
defect over to them. Um, and we know that the Legion, freaking what's his name, Kevin from Home Alone, is the new
Macaulay.
Caesar of Caesar's Legion, right? So they're marching on Vegas, and so
I don't know
that was
why
one
though.
of the things I thought was interesting. I thought there was going to be a larger battle at the end between the NCR and the Legion, but clearly that's going to happen at the beginning of season 3. So we have this interesting dynamic now where in season 3 the ghoul is going to be the one who's by himself, and Lucy and Maximus are the ones who are going to be behind, working with the NCR to sort of like rout the Legion and get them out of Vegas again. And Robert House, we saw his face flicker on the computer screen for a bit there at the
Yeah,
end, so he's clearly
but I didn't
still going to have a
understand.
part to play too.
I
So
didn't understand what was happening with the computer because, as far as I know, no one touched it. Then suddenly it's glitching out. And I'm like, is
yeah,
he pretending to make that happen? Because nothing
I have
happened.
no idea.
Nothing
There's still
happened.
some theories about like it not being the real Robert House, like it might still be Yes Man potentially from the game, but I don't.
But
I honestly have no idea.
he's a
It's
digital avatar. Like,
yeah,
how
yeah.
does that?
It's
How is a fake, basically a fake thing, not really Robert House? I don't know. But yeah,
yeah.
I didn't understand why the computer was glitchy because I rewatched that moment at the end and I thought maybe the
It's
ghoul did something that I missed, but no, he just took off his Pip-Boy and walked away. So I was like, how does that make the computer glitch out?
yeah. I don't know
I think
exactly, but
House just did that like to fuck with him or something, or not let him not know that he's still there.
potentially, yeah.
Because
I
like,
don't think he put all of his consciousness into the Pip-Boy. I think he's still primarily on that like computer mainframe thing, but I think the conversations that he's going to have with Lucy and Maximus in the next season about the Enclave is going to be really interesting. And I think that moving into season 3, we're going to see a lot more of the super mutants. We're going to see a
yeah,
lot more because
definitely.
the Ron Perlman super mutant, he's 100%. He's going to cross paths with the Ghoul again in Colorado in season 3. I believe that. But I think we're also going to see some more factions that they only sort of teased. Like we're probably going to see the Great Khans again.
I don't
We're
know.
probably
This
going to see
a bit too
because
many.
Caesar's Legion has a contingency in Colorado, so we might see more of them out that way as well.
Contingency. What do you
Um,
mean? It's like a different a faction, smaller
they,
faction there.
yeah, so they're not based entirely in Nevada. They're based in like they have contingents of the Legion in Utah,
Oh yeah.
Idaho, Arizona, Colorado, like in all of those sort of neighboring states. But the primary contingent is in Vegas in Nevada. But they have sort of like splinter groups, splinter contingents, often like some of the neighboring states. Um,
I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
that
learning
that's
so
stuff that
much.
the game mentions, and just sort of what I can recall from memory. Um, and that's the thing. There's still a lot that I don't recall from the games because it's been so long since I played New Vegas. Um,
Yeah, I haven't
but
played it since the first came out in 2010.
yeah,
I still
yeah.
like
So it's
three.
been a while.
I still like three better. Like only because three was my first Fallout game ever.
Yeah, 3 was
And
my first. That was my introduction to the franchise as well, and that one is also still my favorite. Call it rose tinted glasses. I don't give a shit. I love
yeah,
Fallout
it was
3.
like just before New Vegas came out. I was playing the like complete edition of three, like a big time. So by the time I went to New Vegas,
Mhm.
I was like, this is basically the same game.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
yeah, yeah.
it's not different enough. But I also didn't finish it, so I don't know. But I still like three
Yeah, I
better.
I only ever finished New Vegas once, and I only did one of the multiple endings. But I really do need to go back because people always say that that one is like the best RPG in the series, just because of how many sort of branching choices and consequences you have there.
Yeah,
but
I'm waiting to see if they
yeah.
remaster it first, and then if I play it, I'll play it then.
Yeah, no, a remaster is
They've
100%
been
coming down the line. I
rumoring
think the
it for a
Fallout
while.
3 remaster is going to be the one that comes first.
Yeah.
But New Vegas is probably going to come maybe a year or two after the fact. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's everything I wanted to cover. I mean, I love some of the song choices they did. Like they brought over some of the songs from New Vegas in the
Yeah.
season. That was really
They
cool.
seem to like the ink spots. They have multiple ink spot songs.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the ink spots are basically at this point they're like synonymous with with the Fallout universe. But I'm trying to think.
There's like, I don't know. I liked like you said, Maximus's arc was the most interesting. Like, they
Yeah.
definitely intentionally set him up to be kind of annoying in the first season. Like, he kind of annoyed me because he would just do stupid shit all the time.
Yeah, his arc was the weakest of the three main
But I feel like
characters
they
in season one,
almost
from what I
intentionally did
recall.
that.
But
Yeah.
he definitely had he had a much more interesting arc in season two, which is great because like I like that actor.
Yeah,
And I feel like he got the short end.
he
of
is
the
a good
stick in
actor.
the
That's
first
the
season,
thing.
So
Like, even the first season, like, okay, he's a good actor. He's just that his character sucks.
yeah, he wasn't given great material. Yeah, so in season two, like they definitely they made a real good improvement with his arc and whatnot. I think, honestly, if I think about all three of the main characters, which one had the weakest arc in season two? I would say probably Lucy had the weakest arc.
Yeah, I
I
was
think
thinking
Ghoul
that
had a
too.
strong arc as just like he did in season one. I think Maximus had a greatly improved character arc over season one. I think Lucy's character arc in season two is brought down by the fact that she goes on that whole like she gets addicted to drugs very briefly and
Yeah, that
like
was
has that
stupid.
whole thing.
What was the point of that?
Yeah, it was kind of goofy and
I didn't get the
sort
point
of
of that.
felt mostly like filler to kind
Yeah,
of like
just to,
okay, we
like,
need to pad out
we need
these
something funny.
middle episodes.
Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly.
really funny. Like it was missing the funniness of the Fallout series. Like, I found like there
Yeah.
wasn't any real funny moments. Not that it's not funny. I was just like, in season one, I don't remember it being all that funnier either. But
Yeah, it wasn't like laugh out
bit
loud
funnier.
funny. There were like some moments, like the guy who like screws chickens in the first
Yeah.
season comes back in this one very briefly, and
the oil,
and
the
he has a
call-
scene with
slick
that robot from the games, and he's a funny character, but
John Daly. You mean the
yeah, John
snake
Daly
oil,
is the
snake
actor's
oil
name.
salesman?
Yeah, that's what they call
That's
him,
like
snake oil
the
salesman.
best
yeah.
performance I've seen by John Daly. I've always been like, whatever. He's one of those comedians that are around, and I'm like, this guy's not funny at all. Why do people like
Right.
him? But this was probably his best performance. And
Yeah, he's actually like
funny.
pretty funny in the show.
Funny enough,
Yeah.
he was actually in season 2 of Twisted Metal. So I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
all right. So he's doing, and Twisted Metal season 2 is like really good. I recommend watching it.
I heard the Twisted
Metal
series
show
was
is
really good.
way
Yeah,
better
with
than
Anthony
it
Mackie
has any
and-
right to be. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
way
that-
better.
I remember when people were saying, "No, this is actually really good. It's not terrible." I was like, "Really? That's interesting." So
surprisingly
because
very good.
And isn't that just sad that like anytime a new video game adaptation for TV or film is announced, that we automatically assume it's shit until we're proven otherwise? It's kind of sad, but it's understandable too, right? Because we've had so many crappy adaptations, but now it's like with Fallout specifically, after the first season was done, I'm like, okay, season 2, it's going to be great. I have like zero doubts about it being good. And I was right. Season 2 was good. Season 3, I feel the exact same way. I feel like season 3 is going to be really good too. So I feel really good about it. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to cover here because I'm going to need to kind of wrap up my time here soon.
Yeah,
And I
sure.
apologize, by the way. I've
Whatever.
taken up all of the airways here on this episode of the show, but
Yeah, get it out. But
yeah.
I wanted to touch on Stephanie for a second. just because
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Let's
I
go
don't.
back to that.
She's like so almost so evil. I was like, why are you this evil? I mean, I don't know if I get that part, even though it's almost like she just took what her mom said to her to heart, literally, like, do whatever it takes. I'm like, but you need to go that far with it, kind of
Well,
thing.
I almost think of, well, they make it pretty apparent that she was being held in some sort of
Yeah, so that didn't help.
camp.
Yeah,
Um,
concentration camp
so
or
there's
something.
like there's some dark history between the U.S. and Canada in the Fallout timeline that they are using her character to sort of expand on and sort of do new things with. And I mean, I can't say I blame her. I would probably feel the same way. It's like you lose your mother getting out of a concentration camp, and the Americans have imprisoned the Canadians in internment camps, and they're treating them terribly. And you know, like people didn't like your normal, average, everyday civilians in the Fallout universe did not like the United States government, and there's a very obvious sort of like anti-government messaging throughout, not even just the show but the games too, right? Because the Enclave are the ones who have been in control of the US government basically from the beginning, and they are the ones who are sort of making all of these really screwed up decisions with the war and dropping the bombs, and you know, with communist China and annexing Canada and treating Canadian citizens like trash. And so it would make sense that you would have a civilian from Canada who comes in who has like a serious grudge against the US government
I don't
for
blame
killing her mom and holding her and her family in an internment camp. And so if anything, it's like you got to respect how much like gumption she has to like get her revenge, to go that far, to go to Vegas, to get a job at Vault-Tec, to hook up with Hank. Which now I'm like, okay,
Yeah, what's that
we
about?
know that she hooks up with Hank at some point. Is she actually Lucy's mom in the show? Like, was the mom that we saw in season, is Stephanie actually the mom? That would be crazy if like
Yeah, that would
I
be
don't think
interesting.
that's what they're doing,
I
but
don't think it's her either.
yeah, but it just it opens up that sort of, it invites speculation and theorizing into that stuff. But man, she's like, I don't know if I would say she's like straight up villainous, but she
No.
definitely has her her reasons why she's doing what she's doing. But I will say, like, yeah, her, I agree with you in that her demeanor in the show came off as like very bitchy to everybody, you know, to Chet, to Betty, the other overseer,
Yeah,
and to like literally everyone.
she's so
And we
awful
know that she
towards
killed the
Chet.
fat dude with the glasses.
Yeah,
Like
like
we
where's
know
he
she
at?
killed him. So um
She's so mean to Chet though. I'm almost like, Chet, like, why are you putting up with this? Like, grow a pair of balls.
well,
Like,
and
he
that's why
kind
I
of
was,
did.
dude, I was saying that throughout the whole season. I'm like, this guy's such a pussy, bro. And then by the end of it, it's like, thank you,
Yeah,
finally
but
he's like standing up and
even
doing
that
something, you
still
know.
wasn't like.
So
Even that was almost like not enough after how shit she's been.
yeah,
And then the thing
that's
with the
true.
baby, like she has a baby and doesn't give a shit about it. Like I don't get that part.
Yeah, that's the other thing
And
too.
I'm
Yeah,
almost like, is
it's
that
interesting. So
like the guy that they showed playing her husband in the first season looked super fucking gay. So I'm like, I don't know if it's that on purpose, but I'm almost like, is that actually his baby? Maybe her and Hank hooked up, and he knocked her up by accident or something.
yeah,
Because I'm not sure if that's his baby. But now Chet's taking care of it. But they also just never showed the baby. You just showed him in a swaddle or whatever, and made baby noises.
yeah,
So it's like
exactly,
they couldn't
exactly.
get a
So
real baby, but I guess whatever. I don't care about that.
I guess there's probably some regulations about that, but yeah, yeah. No, I thought her arc was just barely starting to get interesting in the back half of the season, and so I'm curious to see where they go in season 3 and whatnot. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've gotten out all of my sort of in-depth thoughts about
Who do you think is
the
hotter, Stephanie or Lucy?
I I like Lucy, man.
I say
I have a celebrity crush on that actress
yeah,
Ella
Ella
Purnell.
Purnell. But
me and my wife, we both like find her very attractive.
I
So it's like
I actually think
yeah.
Stephanie's hotter actually. Like
Oh yeah.
I always thought she was just like she's just really pretty, but like that has that classic prettiness. But then Ella has those
Yeah, yeah.
huge, amazing eyes, and like she's gorgeous too. But
It's the eyes for
Stephanie's
me.
kind of
Like I'm
hotter.
yeah, I have a big thing about, you know, the eyes tell you a lot
Anime eyes. Yeah,
about
that's.
somebody. Yeah, the anime
I'm pretty
eyes.
sure her eyes are the number one reason why they hired her. I was like, yeah, she's got the perfect eyes. She has got that innocence in her.
Great in the show, just acting wise, you know, she plays the good like fish out of water character who doesn't really understand the way things work up on the surface, and she's slowly figuring that out. But yeah, I mean that's I think I got out all of my thoughts
Yeah,
on the show.
her acting was really good the last episode where she was like crying. And I was getting a
Oh
little
yeah,
I was
no,
getting a little
the
choked
stuff.
up. I was like,
Yeah,
damn,
the stuff with her dad was
it's
like
brutal.
you mean I hate the dad's guts, but
But he
I
like
also
at the same
feel
time
bad for her. You
at
know,
the same time I get what he's trying to do. Like he's basically trying to do a Thanos or thing. Like just wipe out the bad
right,
shit so the good shit comes up. Essentially,
right.
he just
My
does it in a
issue
bad
with
way.
it is like it's ultimately it's not because he really wants to. It's in service to somebody else,
The
which
Enclave
is
or whatever. I
we
guess.
know it's the Enclave. And so if he was doing it just for his own reasons, separate from the Enclave, yeah, maybe I'd be willing to like understand. But we know the only reason he's doing it is because he's taking orders from Vault-Tec, and Vault-Tec are taking their orders from the Enclave. The Enclave are the ones who are pulling the strings and doing all that. But yeah, I'm gonna need to go ahead and peace out. But
No
I would
problem.
say it just to kind of cap it off here. I gave the first season, like, if I had to rate it, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, and I would give season 2 a 9 out of 10 as well. I feel that it, again, just to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show here, it's as good as season 1 for me personally. It wasn't any better, but it also wasn't any worse, while also sort of doing some new and interesting things. And I'm hoping that season 3 is like that knockout, like 10 out of 10 season for me personally. But yeah, that'd be my final rating for the show, and
Yeah, I'd give it.
I'm really excited to.
Yeah,
Right now, it's never been a better time to be a fan of the Fallout franchise. You know,
Yeah.
Fallout 76 is doing some interesting things.
it's my
We have
favorite
the Fallout
series.
3 remaster on
Yeah.
the way.
Like, 76 is
Um,
awesome actually. If you don't play it and you love Fallout, like it's gotten dramatically better than when it came out.
Yeah,
Like
and that's the
dramatically.
thing, right? Is like I played it at launch
Yeah, it was
when it was
boring.
dog shit,
boring as
and
hell.
I slogged through that, and I was like,
Exactly.
I
Same as
can't
me.
play this.
I was
And
like,
and that's what sucks, right? Is like I know that it's gotten better,
way better.
but I still have that hesitation to like, do I really want to jump back into it though? Because there's so many other games that I need to play. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit in a live service Fallout game into my already packed backlog. But who knows? I
Plus,
mean,
like,
if I
yeah.
have enough motivation to do it, I might jump into it because when I finish season 2 once I finished season 2 of Fallout, like I won't lie, I get the itch. I'm
Yeah.
like, I gotta jump back into
I
the
want to play
Fallout games,
76
man.
right
It's-
now.
Yeah, yeah, for real. But yeah, I gotta go ahead and peace out because my family's gonna be on their way back home. But I really appreciate you having me on and
Yes, thank
inviting
you
me
so
onto the
much,
show here.
so much for being here. I have no idea what's gonna happen when you leave. Like, do you just leave on your own and that's it? Do you just
Yeah,
disappear?
it's probably just going to be me. You'll still have the show up and running most likely.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, maybe next time we do this, we'll have more of the. I think now we've ironed out enough of the technical difficulties that we can sort of fine tune it.
So you're
in the
saying we're
future.
doing this again? Are you asking me out on a second date already?
I mean, potentially, if you want me back,
if
you
we
know,
could keep doing
I'd-
shows, like when do you normally do your shows? Or, do you
I
just, or is it just
just
random?
just whenever I can find
Oh,
the time, man.
yeah.
It's for me. It's difficult to even just find the time to record a video, let alone do a 2.5 hour
Yeah, like I usually try to keep my shows to
live
2
show.
hours.
It's
anyways.
like it's hard for me to find the time with a wife and 2 really really young kids who still need a lot of time and a lot of attention and whatnot. But if I can ever find the time, you know, I'll talk to you about it, and we'll do some behind the scenes chatting about like when when we can figure out like what would be another good time to do another follow-up show. But I suppose that's going to be whenever there's another video game adaptation coming out, which I think, what's the next big one coming out? Is that the Mario Galaxy movie?
Probably.
Yeah, that one I'm really
Yeah.
because I wasn't able to take my son to the first movie because he was still too little,
Yeah.
but now he's old enough that like I'm gonna be able to take him to see this one, and we're excited about that. But yeah, anyway, so I gotta peace out. But yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I bought it
um,
just because it's adaptation, but I'm kind of off
yeah,
Nintendo. But yeah, thanks again so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
absolutely.
If we
Yeah,
can
no,
do
this has
another
been a
show
real.
again, like I try to do a show every Saturday at the same time, and run the exact same time zone, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, no, yeah, and that consistency again is key to sort of gaining the audience and sort of maintaining that level of throughput for the channel. But yeah, absolutely, I appreciate you inviting me on, man. It's been a real pleasure, and I apologize as well because I feel like I've done most of the talking this show.
you're better at
But
this than me. So
well,
so far,
I have some improvement to do too myself, you know. But anyway, appreciate it, and everybody who's been watching, appreciate all of you guys who have been watching. Make sure you leave a like on Game Adaptation Newscasts on this stream here. Make sure you consider subscribing to him because he's going to have all of the deets and all the coverage on all of the adaptations going forward. Fallout, Mario, the Twisted Metal show, all of the other stuff. They even announced that just recently they're doing a Baldur's Gate show
yeah.
on HBO
Craig
from the Last of
Mazin's,
Us showrunner. So
yeah,
that's going to
Craig
be
Mazin. That's a
that's
weird
going to
one.
be interesting.
But yeah, Mazin's amazing. So
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Anyways,
But anyway,
all right,
I got to peace out, guys. So thank you so much, and hopefully I get to chat with y'all next time.
all right. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna keep doing my show. So
Absolutely. Carry on, my
later,
good man.
man. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I guess that's just empty now. Lucy's mom is got it going on. Alright, I'm gonna just put the link to the show if anyone wants to join. I don't know who's even watching, but if anyone wants to join in, because I'm like, now that I'm by myself, I still want to talk about the show because I loved it. So I don't know. I'll leave that empty for now. Actually, no, I don't know what to do with that. But thoughts on the show, from start to finish, it was a pretty spectacular show. If my notes gonna help me give me anything. Yeah, so anyone who is watching, who's new here, thanks a lot for being here. Big shout out to TheArkaneRhealm. Don't forget to look into the description and to sub to all his stuff. He's really cool with his Bethesda related arcane type stuff. But if I had to rate season 1 and season 2, I'd give 1 a 10 and 2 and 9 a 9.5. But I haven't really decided why it's 9.5. Just cuz like there wasn't enough Macaulay Culkin in it, to be honest. They made it seem like he was going to be a bigger deal. And I was actually kind of surprised at how fucking terrible of an actor he is. Like, he was awful. I don't know what happened there, or he thought he was being the character, but I thought his acting was terrible. I'm like, okay, your brother Kieran is a far superior actor. What's that about? Though, I feel like he's kind of rusty. I have no idea what his career is like now, if he's still around, like doing a lot of stuff, but I was unimpressed by his performance, but he wasn't in it. He was in it for such a short moment. Probably like maybe 10 minutes in total. He was actually in the show. So I'm like, and yeah, the short time he was on, he was not very impressive. Plus, in earlier news, they made it sound like they said he was going to be a Signs type character or something. At least that's what I thought I heard someone say, but he ends up just being a member of the Caesar's Legion. Something Legate. I don't even think they said his name, but they said his name in the credits or in IMDb. It's like Lacerta Legate or something, which is like he's a relative of someone from the other games, New Vegas. Or whatever you call it, just like Harkness, Kumal's character has the same last name as Proctor Harkness or whatever his title was from Fallout 4. Anyone else in the chat has opinions on the show? I'd love to know. I still wish I could figure out why I can't see who's in my show. Just like on the other fucking thing. It just says I have 5 viewers, but I can't see who it is. That's probably just Noble and Chio, and the rest are just my fake accounts. Stephanie, yeah, she was brutal, but... And her mom was played by Natasha Henstridge. For anyone who didn't know, Natasha Henstridge was from Species. She was hot fire in that freaking movie. She's smoking, hoking hot. But when I first saw her face, obviously, well, not obviously, but she had a little bit of stuff done. But I saw it and I was like, that's not Natasha Henstridge, is it? And then, yeah, I looked it up. Okay, it is. But now Stephanie's hotter than her mom. Stephanie's mom has got it going on. Acting wise and arc wise, just like Arcane was saying, Maximus had the most interesting dramatic arc. He went from being very disillusioned by the Brotherhood of Steel after episode 1, where he took responsibility for a murder that he didn't commit. Yeah, they thought he killed Moldaver, but someone else did. Now I even forget, was it Lucy or the Ghoul? But then I guess he just feels guilty about it, and then eventually he leaves the Brotherhood when they get into that fight. Then he takes off with Thaddeus. No one's voted on my poll. That's bullshit. Pause. So now that I'm by myself again, I'm like lost on what to talk about exactly. How different from season 1. Season 2 still felt like season 1 overall, I thought. It still felt the same. It was kind of the natural extension of season 1 to season 2. And the Ghoul is still like the coolest character of all time. Just like Arcane was saying, Walton is incredible. His performance is amazing, just as it was last season. Though I wonder if he'll get another Emmy or Golden Globe nomination, which he did for season 1. But this one, I don't know. They might not, just because. But I also thought Kyle MacLachlan was really good. His relationship, he was barely in season 1. He was only in episode 1 and episode 8. So we didn't get much of him. So we get to see a lot more from him. And he's a great actor, obviously. He's been around forever. He's kind of a legend in the sci-fi world with Dune and stuff like that. So seeing the relationship between him and Lucy and the strain of it, where Lucy just wants her dad back, but he's changed too much since it happened to her. Though there was still a part of me that was kind of like, she turned against her dad pretty quickly. Where do you work at? You listen to me on speaker or earphones? Are your coworkers hearing my voice and being like, who the hell is that sexy guy? Are you watching the sexy cast? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to remove this frame. Do you watch the show on Prime or the high seas? What does this high seas mean? You mean torrent? I don't know. I don't have Prime anymore. I'm not sure what you mean by high seas unless you mean torrent. But yeah, I downloaded it because my Prime ran out and I didn't want to get it again. I just had a free trial. I started a free trial just as the season started so I could watch it. But then my trial ran out before the show ended, so I just torrented the rest. But I'm gonna buy the whole thing. I'm gonna watch the entire season again, and then whenever it comes out on physical, which I hope doesn't take 2 years this time. They actually didn't release the home version of the show until like last summer, even though the show came out in like April 2024, I think. Don't know why it took so long, but I hope they don't do that again. I'll buy that and then Obs do a review of it and see what kind of features they have on it. Good ones, I hope. More than last time. My cat's right there on the chair. I'm just seeing what she's doing. Do I want to read that? So what else do I have to say? I didn't plan this out enough. Yeah, talking about what's going to happen for the next season. So setting up season 3, where are they going to go with it? I want to see more of the Super Mutant. I don't know if we have a name for who that Super Mutant is yet. I'm going to look it up because it's possible it's on IMDb. I don't know if they said it was named the other player. I think it was this one. Yeah, it just says Super Mutant. So does he have a voice? I mean, does the Super Mutant that he played have very fire? Yeah, does the Super Mutant that he plays have a name eventually? Because oh, you mean like Natasha? Yeah, in her heyday. Oh my god. I mean, not that she's unattractive now, but holy cannoli. Anyway, I wish there was a little bit more of Michael Emerson, who plays Siggy Wilzig. I thought he was so good in season 1 of like the Oracle character or whatever, who just kind of shows up, tells you what you need to hear, tells you stuff, and then takes off. But I was also surprised to see him in this season. I wasn't expecting that at all, so that was cool. Again, he just shows up in the elevator, and then yeah, Uncle Rico, John Grease, as someone who loves Napoleon Dynamite, seeing him in there was pretty fun. I wish he had a bit of a longer moment. So now I'm just like, I went on IMDb to see what his name was, and now I'm looking at all the characters, and it's reminding me, like, why did Robert House have a double? Like, I was a little bit confused. Maybe it was just because the real House thought he was in danger, so he didn't want to get, like, assassinated, which is, a thing a lot of rich people do anyways. Thaddeus was funny. Like, Johnny Pemberton might be kind of annoying as a person, but he was definitely better this season. Betty Pearson, I don't really think her and Reg's thing with the whole, with it being related club was just pointless. Neither of them even needed to really be in the show, period, because they didn't really spend a whole lot of time in that vault. And the majority of the show was about out of the vault. Norm didn't have a chance to talk about Norm at all, really, but I voted, but it doesn't seem to count. I don't know. I voted, but it doesn't seem to count. I don't know what that's about. Does the poll even show up anymore? I don't know. Maybe you have to refresh. I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm learning. Norm, he had an arc that was up and down. Who's like finally kind of getting braver and lying to that group of young executives who got thought out about who he was. But then he just kind of turned bitch again, and like he got his ass kicked. And that guy Ronnie, who basically took over the group, the de facto leader. I don't know, but then the roaches showed up in the last episode. The rad roaches showed up, and then Norm just hit again, just like he did in season one when the Raiders first attacked inside the vault. He just went and hid somewhere. Although, in that case, Lucy more of like just stuffed him in a little box. Basically, he's like, "Yeah, you stay here," and he just sat there like a bitch while his sister took on these crazy ass Raiders. So Norm was like finally starting to grow some balls, and then he kind of like they shrunk up again. But I have a feeling that actor in real life is like 4 feet tall. He looks like he's fucking tiny. I bet you him and Kevin Hart are like the same size. Also, like a funny moment that I didn't pick up before was the very, very first episode when the ghoul and Lucy were at the pool or whatever, and the ghoul was hanging. There's a guy named Nick the Prick there, which you didn't obviously. There's no way of knowing half these characters' names until you look it up on IMDb. But Nick the Prick was this guy's name, but then he showed up again way later in the episode as someone that Hank managed to brainwash with those chips. That somehow, one thing that was a hole to me was how was Hank running all over the wasteland finding these people to chip. Like, how did he do that on his own? Or did he chip one person and then he got that person to chip everybody else? But the quickness that he was able to build this tiny armor of people that are brainwashed just didn't make sense to me. Like, how the hell did he pull that off that fast by himself? I'm just basically winging it right now on what to say. Where do you work at, Chio? I only work Monday to Friday. I'd hate to have to work weekends. Working weekends is just the pits. Why the fuck did I say the pits? But now that I'm on IMDb, just looking at all the episodes in terms of which order would I give them in ratings, whatnot. Like on IMDb, the highest rated episode is The Strip, 8.5. Oh, 8.7, that's the Wrangler episode. That was a great episode. I don't know what order I would say which is my favorite. I actually did like the handoff episode. And then yeah, at the end of that, when Cooper gave the cold fusion diode to the president, I figured, all right, that's probably not really the president, played by the man Clancy Brown. But I was pretty sure that was actually not really the president, and yeah, it was just some guy from the Enclave. But then that annoying Commissioner Welch or whatever her name was there too at the same time. But then it made me kind of confused. I was like, does she know that he's not the president, or is she in on all this? Because she almost seems too stupid to like be in on all this stuff. But looking back on my little formatting thing, there's some interesting questions. Best scene of the season, worst decision by a character, most unhinged fallout moment, funniest moment, darkest moment. Best scene of the entire season? Probably the scene where Maximus is fighting multiple Death Claws. Like, the amount of balls he has on him to take that on was pretty nuts. And then you figure it out that he can use a weapon system. And now I'm wondering, okay, does NCR armor have that? I don't even think there's NCR armor in Fallout 76. Maybe because where they are on the map isn't around where the NCR is. Because they're in the Appalachians. So if you're new in the chat, like and subscribe. I actually put a link to anyone who wants to join. I can only have one extra guest because that's what I have a free account so on Streamlabs, so I can only stream to YouTube and have one guest. Best scene, worst decision by a character. That one I'm not too sure. Probably Chet for being a bitch and not doing anything for the first half of the episode. Most unhinged moment. I'd say the moment where the ghoul fell out of the building and got impaled on a fucking pole. That was pretty sick. And then he just hung there. He was just sitting there on the pole, and no one was helping him. And then he starts turning feral because he can't take his drugs, which was funny because he could hear the feral ghoul sound like clear as day that he was changing. So I like that part. That was probably the most unhinged moment. Do it. The funniest moment? Yeah, that's the problem. The show wasn't super funny, but yeah, the moment I say with Thaddeus, when his arm falls off, and he's just like, oh, his arm just falls off, and he's like, oh wait, what's going on? Then he starts carrying it around and like throwing it, throws it on the ground to get people to listen to him. Everybody, shut up! They're betting on all the freesiders once the Death Claws showed up. This is kind of funny and a little dark, but the Death Claws came up, and then suddenly we thought maybe they're gonna try to help. It's like, no, they're gonna just bet on see how long Maximus lasts. And then of course Thaddeus comes up, and I'm thinking, well, Thaddeus is gonna be like, no, this isn't okay, and he's like, nope, I put 500 on Maximus. And then he somehow dumps 500 caps on the ground through his leg. Somehow, throughout this entire moment, he had a gigantic pile of caps just in his pocket. I don't know. That felt dumb to me because I'm like, if he has bottle caps in his pocket, then why isn't there a noise? If you have 500 bottle caps in your pocket when you're walking around, it's going to make a noise. Oh, Barb. I didn't have a chance to even talk about Barb and her arc, as at the end of season 1, if you've watched it, she was the one that suggested Vault-Tec drop the bombs to essentially get people to want to live in these vaults, which is pretty brutal. Cooper hears it and then confronts her in season 2 about it. And then the big question that I even had out loud was like, he even said it. It's like, okay, well, my only question is, were you always a monster, or did this happen later on? And she didn't really explain herself until eventually we realized that the Enclave was coercing her through Vault-Tec. So, yeah, the Enclave was coercing her into suggesting that. And in reality, everything she was doing was to protect Janie, which now brings me into 5'1". Yeah, he's fucking tiny. Yeah, I was about to get into Janie. I was like, okay, where the hell is your daughter? She's like within one episode, and even that point, I don't understand exactly what happened. Where it was right after he hears that she wants to drop the bombs, he goes home and grabs Janie, and then they go to this community, and I don't even understand what he was trying to do there. He just drives there with her, and then they have a weird alarm thingy that everyone thinks is real. But then we don't see Janie for the rest of the season. So I'm like, okay, where is Janie? What is she doing? Who's taking care of her? Because Cooper and Barb are in Vegas for pretty much the whole season, but I guess in reality that was only a day or two. But where the hell was Janie this whole time? They never showed her. They did show her for a second, I think. Yeah, when he was talking to Moldaver in the diner, Janie was playing like a game, like Whack-A-Commie or some shit. But not that I care that she wasn't in a lot, but I'm just like, all right, where is your daughter? That's the things I think about. Yeah, the passage of time, when in reality, this show probably happened in like a couple of days, but it felt like, I'm like, okay, I feel like there were jumps of time, just like when I was saying about Hank and like how in the hell did he create this army with all these mini chips so quickly? Did like did we skip a few days ahead and he did that? I just don't get how he managed to do that so quickly, which is one of like the largest story holes in the entire season. To me, that's like one of the biggest holes. Period. Of like, yeah, how did you create this entire army so quickly? Like, why are you so dedicated to all this crazy shit and not dedicated to your daughter and family 100% above everything else? Which was like, all right, is Hank really that evil that he's putting the Enclave or whatever they want to do above his own daughter? And like, what's up with Norm? Norm has no idea who Hank really is. He still just thinks he's his dad. Norm hasn't seen what Lucy's seen. He's barely seen anything, really. Norm. What else do I got? Unresolved plot threads. Yeah, a lot of those. Too many plot threads. That was like, I'd say, kind of an issue, especially of the last episode, where they took every single plot they had and stuff it into one episode. I mean, I guess they handle it pretty well, balance wise, considering there's like 6 basic threads. I mean, there's always the 1, 2, 3 thread of Lucy, the Ghoul, and Maximus. But then they had Stephanie's storyline and Norm's storyline, and then the flashback Cooper version of the storyline, and then the pointless little stupid storyline with Betty and Reg about the group. And then Hank by himself doing all the shit he's doing storyline. It was kind of a lot. Though they did handle it somewhat. They handled it pretty decently. I work from home. That's pretty cool. I wish I could work from home full time. I wish I could just full time YouTube. I've done some work from home work on the side of my regular job, but you're a self-employed yak guy? What's a yak guy? I never heard of that before. Yak yak. Go yak yourself. You yak and yakker? Where the story is clearly heading, new locations or factions tease. What must happen in season 3? Well, they're going to Colorado. So, we're going to Colorado. Yeah, so the Ghoul is going to go to Colorado. And then Lucy and Maximus, season 3 is going to start somewhere with the battle that's about to happen between the Caesars Legion and NCR in New Vegas. So, they're probably going to be gummed up there for a bit. At least for a few episodes, not the entire season, I'd say for sure. But the Ghoul is going to be going out to Colorado. He's probably going to be doing that on his own for the entire season. But Colorado, if you look at a map of the states, it's not close. So he's planning on walking there. It's like Colorado's almost right in the middle of the country too. So that feels like a strategic reason for why it's right there, because it's pretty close to the center of the entire country. And that's where the NCR is. Not the NCR, the Enclave. I don't know if that's clear to people, but I'm sure that that's where the Enclave is. But I'm wondering about Norm as well. Now that at the end of season 1, he took off with this Claudia girl who he's probably going to hook up with. He's pulling her along and tells her, I'm taking you home. So does that mean back to the vault? Though I guess they're in New Vegas, so they're not as far away from the vault. Does Norm actually really want to go back to the vault? But when he means home, I wonder if he actually means that or somewhere else. He's just like, I'm taking you home. But is home actually that vault or somewhere else? I don't know why he just didn't stay there. I mean, in the basement of that building was where Barv and Ma June was staying. I was like, why don't you just live there and help farm cockroaches or rat roaches? Yeah, I think Barv and Ma June are going to be kind of pissed when they come back and to be like, where the hell are all my rat roaches? We was going to sell that for moonshine money. I don't know. What were they farming them for, anyways? Like, what do you farm? Why would you farm rad roaches? Maybe for the protein? Ronnie is 5'10". Yeah, Ronnie was a dick. Obviously, they want you not to like Ronnie, but they're all dead now. So, ha ha ha. In your face. But yeah, Norm's still chicking the fuck out at that moment. But I guess if you went in there to that room and try to help, you would just get dead. But that reminds me of like how vicious the rad roaches were, because in the games they're not that vicious and they don't come at you in that big of a swarm. You'll get like a bunch, a couple of, but rad roaches are easy to take out. But in the show, they're like eating people's throats and shit. So I'm like, are these like super mutant? Are these like super duper mutant rad roaches? But yeah, they were pretty vicious, and the huge swarm of them isn't a thing in the game, for me at least. You pretty much aren't going to see more than 5 rad roaches at once. So yeah, that was a change. And yeah, another big change was when they changed the kings into ghouls. When in the games the kings are just people. Unless I forgot something, but I didn't fully complete New Vegas, so I don't know if the kings turn into the ghouls later, or there's a separate faction of kings that are ghouls. But in the show, they made them ghouls, and in the games, New Vegas, they're humans. I don't even know why they made that change. I'm not sure if I get it. It was almost like maybe it was just target practice for Lucy, because she took them all out after she was twitching from all the drugs, and suddenly she's like, I want to kill something. And that silly little storyline, which we were talking about earlier, about how Lucy got hooked on drugs for like one episode. And I forget the drug, whatever drug there was, it happened in at least a month and a half, because a month and a half. Oh shit, really? I don't remember that part. There's definitely a time jump with Hank, because like he just did all this shit, so much shit at one time. Yeah, I guess there was a time jump, because I remember realizing that Maximus had been like doing stuff with the Brother of Steel, but you could tell he was like really disillusioned by it and didn't feel good about taking responsibility for that killing Moldaver. But then they make it seem like it was a few months for him, but only like 2 days for Lucy and the Ghoul. So like, does that mean Lucy and the Ghoul were walking along the wasteland for like a month? Because that almost seems like a stretch. Or did they jump back? I don't know. But that couldn't have been, because at the end of the season, everyone met up in New Vegas, essentially. Everyone was basically in New Vegas except for the Walters and Norm. Norm! Sorry. I don't remember anyone saying about Lucy leaving the vault 3 months ago, but sweet. You sound like you know the show pretty good too. Yeah, I'm coming in on 2 hours, but I'm wondering what else I want to talk about. I gave it a rating. I still think season one's just a little better, just because of how amazing it was compared to what I was thinking it would be, which I knew was going to be good. What must happen in season three? What's the one thing season three has to nail? Be a little bit more consistent with the story threads. Maybe not have so many. Maybe not include threads that are important, like people having uh, meetings and arguing about it, and then having some weird imagination moment where Reg is fantasizing that he's playing piano and people are dancing. That's just a weird, dumb moment. It was almost like a moment they put in the trailer just so everyone can go like, okay, what the hell is that about? Why are they dancing around? Why is there one guy with his blue jumpsuit tied around his waist, but everybody else isn't? Why is he the only guy who's ever done that in the history of Fallout? I don't know. There's nothing I don't think season three has to nail. Just looking at this list, it's already nailed it, so it's just gonna keep going where it's already going. I have 100% faith in that they're just going to keep dropping up the quality with how well they translated the game into the world. And even though it's exactly like the game, I love it. Some people can like do the design exactly like the game and it not work, kind of like maybe Borderlands, which I still think that movie isn't as bad as people think, but sometimes they don't translate the world of the games as well visually, but here they just banged it up. Same angles of shots, like with the NCR sniper guy, using the exact same designs of everything, which worked. So I keep forgetting that even the Cooper Howard's world is like in 2077, even though it looks like it's in the 60s, 20 to 30 days. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the